welcome to today's episode of the Group Therapy Podcast. Today we have returning guest, someone I should have had on a long time ago, but it's been a while. Michael Gary Petersen. Michael, what have you been up to?
Thank you for having me on again, Paul. Hopefully everyone can hear me. I'm testing out my new soundboard and everything that I just got. So testing the waters with this one. First of all, I want to give a shout out to everyone that's subscribed to the YouTube channel. I finally broke the 900 curse. I'm getting halfway there to 1,000 subscribers, and I just need to keep that going. I got plenty of followers on TikTok because TikTok seems to be the big video outlet these days, but I'm happy that I actually got some more subscribers on YouTube as well. But other than that, it's been kind of quiet over here. I know that I was supposed to be up here like months ago, but health and just life tends to just get in the way. But I've been editing a horror film called Camp Love. For all those who are into um, Midwest indie horror films, they can go to my YouTube channel and check out the trailer. It's the first thing that you'll see up there. It's the movie that I've been hired to edit, so that's going to be coming soon. Um, my version of Halloween Ends has still been getting positive feedback from people who have seen it. And the only thing that I've been getting that's criticized, that's or critical, is the fact that it's too short. It's not the 2 hour version. And it's like they want to see more of it and everything. And it's like, well, if I had the full budget, I would have gave everyone the 2 hour version they deserved, and we would have gotten the conclusion that we all wanted instead of what we got in the theater. Because I know everyone now, it seems to be split down the middle with it. And speaking of Halloween Ends, for one night only, obviously it's a free screening for it. It's going to be shown at a screening for Camp Love for as an exclusive sneak peek. It's going to be shown just once because it's a fan film. I can't make any profits off it or anything. So it's going to get a public screening. And because of that, I was able to shoot some more material for it to kind of extend the runtime. So it could be like a double bill type thing because they have to be a certain amount because, we're renting a spot to show the movie.
Yeah.
So it has to be so many minutes, and same with the Camp Love is over 70 minutes long, so mine has to be just a little bit longer just to fit that double bill time frame, so I can be able to get it to go. So I've actually gone out and I've actually shot some additional stuff that I wanted to do, but just didn't have the budget to do. But I was also able to really think about it and think outside of the box. And it's like, okay, how can I do this without basically spending no money? I've been on a Robert Rodriguez kick, and I've been going back to my roots as like, being a no budget filmmaker in terms of listening to what he had to say when he did. I actually just watched this. You ever see El Mariachi?
Yeah. Love that movie. Yeah.
It's a great movie. I recommend it to anyone who's getting into indie filmmaking. And also recommend his book Rebel Without a Crew. I watched it not too long ago, and I started to think about how he was doing that, all the old tricks of how he was able to pull off so much with so little. And I'm like, if I shot some of these scenes this way, I can probably pull that off. So going back to the drawing board for my version of Halloween Ends, I was able to get some more scenes to get that runtime to where it needs to be at. It's still not the 2 hour version though, but it's definitely a lot long. It's definitely a little bit more fleshed out than what was on
Yeah.
YouTube right now. So I'm excited about that. But my main project, you probably see me share dozens of times before I got myself in Facebook jail because Zuckerberg likes to run thing with the iron fist now, depending on memes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a indie production that I've been trying to do since 2014 called Within the Shadows, and I have an Indiegogo campaign going for that right now, and there's 39 days left if anyone wants to contribute. So
Right.
that's basically what's been going on my end.
Well, you were always working on something. Since I talked to you, God, we started talking damn near what, a decade ago almost at this point.
About that, I think you and I exchanged information. Maybe I'm going too far back, but I want to say I think you and I exchanged information when MySpace was still like the thing.
Maybe because I got copies of what the last chapter parts 1 and 2 off of
Yes.
you, and we aired those as part of our we used to run horror movies at my shop.
Hmm.
And yeah, and I still have my
The,
burnt
the
copies you gave me
hard
from
copies.
forever ago. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And I still do that to this day. I still, like, okay, today's DVD authoring day, so I pull up the DVD authoring software and I start, burning stuff. And fortunately, I'm gonna have to be doing that all myself again because everyone else I've reached out to just doesn't, either have the time or they just want like astronomically, so much for like, DVD authoring. And it's just like, I did this myself when I first started. So it's like,
Yeah.
not just do it myself. And if I really come across like a hiccup or anything, then I'll reach out. Or, of course, there's so many tutorial videos now. I mean,
Oh
heck,
yeah.
just the other day, I learned something online, YouTube with green screen to actually do like a zoom effect, like a movement within a green screen to make it move with the background like it's actually like in camera. So I was like, oh, okay. Now it actually looks a little bit more like, you know, efficient and organic, like you actually caught it like, on camera instead of like, it just being like background pasted.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure you've seen movies where you can so tell it's a green screen though, but when there's like movement, especially with like the character, they move, but the background doesn't.
No. Yeah.
It stays in the same place. And the one thing I could think of right off the top of my head is the original Masters of the Universe with Dolph Lundgren. When he's flying on the thing on the
The flying. Yeah.
speeder, and
Yep.
you just see the background moving, but he's not moving. And it's like, okay, it's changing perspective in the background, and it's so awful. It was just so bad.
But it's awful and it's awesome at the same time. I love that movie.
Mhm. It's one of my favorite. It's one of my childhood guilty pleasures.
My one of my buddies got me, and I have it around here somewhere. I have my Blu-ray copy, but my DVD copy is bilingual. So it's got like Spanish Masters of the Universe in Spanish, and then underneath that it has Masters of the Universe in English. And it's on the side and the whole 9 yards. I've never been able to find another one like that, but he got it at a garage sale, and I'm
And
like, I
sounds like it's
love
a
it.
bootleg copy of it.
No, it's a legit copy.
Oh,
It's 100% legit. It's an import, and it plays on my region because it also has the little. They got the like the other countries have the like 18 in a circle and this 14.
yeah, that's the region code.
Yeah, it's got that in it, but it's a legit DVD, plays on my Blu-ray player, plays on all my, but it still says Spanish, and you flip it on the side. My copy of Dead or Alive, the really bad video game uh
Oh God,
movie, it's the
yeah.
same way. It has Spanish Dead or Alive on one side, and on the other side it says English Dead or Alive. And it's a legit DVD, but it's not from America. So
Kind of sounds to me like it says, what is? Oh God, the Bollywood stores they would sell like the local the local indie films, but they would also have like some of the big screen stuff though. But they would be like the quickest thing that you would get from like a secondhand shop. Like it would be like the easiest like Photoshop picture of like a generic poster. You know what I'm talking about? You go to those video stores and you pick out a DVD and it's like, okay, for example, I'm going to use oh God, what was I saw this the other day and I saw it at the video store and I looked at the cover of it. I'm like, that is such a generic cover. That's almost like, this is the last thing that we have to run out with this copyright law on this movie, and we had to just slap it on there. It was Blue Thunder. Blue Thunder. It was the helicopter thriller with Roy Scheider.
Yep.
And it was a very now I've seen that movie countless times, and I've seen various of posters, but this one was just like it was just the helicopter, and it was all blue, and it was just you saw the city like copied and pasted in the background. I'm just like that is such a like a generic like copy and paste type thing. Yeah, that's something that you would see at a secondhand shop.
Oh yeah, dude, I have Blue Thunder on Laserdisc, and it's the helicopter, the front of the helicopter, and it's in shadow, but only the very cockpit is blue, sticking out of it, like because you don't want to see the full helicopter yet.
The headlights with the
Yep,
headlights here through.
yep.
It's funny that you mentioned Laserdisc because my dad, may he rest in peace, he was an avid collector of the Laserdisc, and Blue Thunder was actually one of the ones that he had, and that's actually how I was introduced to that. And then of course there was I found out not too long ago that there was actually a very short-lived TV
TV
series,
series, yeah, with
and
Dana Carvey in it.
very young David Carvey, Garth Brooks, Garth Algar,
Yep.
my
Yeah,
Garth
people forgot that. That's like a buddy of mine was sitting there. He goes, "Oh yeah, you had the there was the Airwolf knockoff Blue Thunder." I was like, "You do know Blue Thunder was a movie before it became the TV series, right?"
Blue Thunder, I think, actually was first,
Yeah, it was. Then
and then
Airwolf TV series, and then the Blue Thunder TV series.
yes,
So yeah,
and then I think Knight Rider was like boomerang into there because that was like the '80s was like full of like
the vehicles.
the neon thriller, hot cars, hot
Yeah,
helicopters, you know, crime
dude.
thrillers.
Over on my shelf, I have Automan. I have Street Hawk. I've got
Street Hawk. Oh my God, that is a blast from the past right there.
third episode. George Clooney's in it. And he was supposed to be the original actor on Street Hawk, but they didn't think he had charisma, so they hired the guy that they did and just used him as an extra or a character in the third episode.
Only they had a crystal ball into the future to see him play Batman.
Well, there's like you go back and look at all the movies that he's in that no one knew he was in. Fucking Attack of the Killer Tomatoes 2, Grizzly 2, Roseanne. He was Jackie's abusive boyfriend in Roseanne.
Oh, that's right.
Yep.
Oh, that's right. I'm not a fan of Roseanne because, I just think she's not that great of a person though, but my parents loved the show. I was more of a fan of John Goodman.
Oh, I love John Goodman. That man could do no wrong.
Yeah, John Goodman is just fantastic, but I think I do vaguely remember a very young George Clooney
Yep.
being in
Big
there.
long hair and
Yeah. Isn't it, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that the episode where Jackie is saying that no, he only does that when he gets upset, and that's also the classic episode where Dan overhears, and then as soon as they leave, he grabs his jacket and then he walks out.
Yeah, he goes and hunts him down and beats the
Yeah, and then he comes back and all of his hands are all like bruised and everything. He's like, yeah, he won't be bothering you again.
Yep.
Wow.
That's it. George Clooney, because he had left.
John Goodman beat up George Clooney.
Yep. And if you watch in the later episodes, there's still a picture of George Clooney on their refrigerator as a tribute to George Clooney coming off that show. So, well, that's like fucking Danielle Harris came from that. She was on there.
Mm-hmm.
She was the girl that was competing for Darlene to take David away from her, which I know is bad that I remember this shit, but yeah. And
No.
There was a lot of people who came off of that show who went on to do bigger things, and she was one. And those two are.
I totally forgot that Danielle Harris was in that.
Yep.
And it's so funny, going back to Halloween. Halloween just celebrated its 45th anniversary. I just can't believe it's something that that I grew up with is that old.
Oh yeah.
And it blows my mind. And I'm pretty sure you probably already heard about it too. And I think I said this in the last podcast when we talked about the theories for the original Halloween, and
Yep.
you mentioned about the hobo, and then I kind of gave my theory, and I said, give it 5 years, they'll reboot it. But guess what? They're in a bidding war right now,
Yep.
and they're gonna be bringing it back. And I'm like, it wasn't even. Like I said, I told you, everyone that I talked to, don't. It's gonna be either 5 years or it's gonna be shorter, and
Yeah.
it's not even been a year yet.
Well, the funny part about it is that last year I was at a horror convention, and I'm talking to Gary Tunnicliffe, who did a bunch of the special effects for some of the Halloween movies. He's
Mhm,
worked on some of the Halloween movies, stuff like that. He goes, "It's in the contract from the Akkad family
mhm.
that you cannot definitively kill off Michael." And I was like, "So there's going to be a loophole." He's like, "There will always be a loophole that you will never definitively see Michael Myers die. And there's always going to be a loophole." And I told everybody, I was like, "This is a loophole movie. They're going to be able to do it. They're going to be able to give Laurie her end and done with it and get rid of Jamie Lee Curtis's version of Laurie. And that's the end of that world." And now I'm reading, as of, was it yesterday? Um, I love Halloween 3. I think
Season,
Halloween 3
which
yeah, it gets shit on because it's not a Michael Myers movie, but it's a great movie onto itself. If that had just been Season of the Witch, we'd all love it to this day. Everybody would.
I finally gave it a chance a couple of years ago. Someone said, like, you know what? I know you're a Michael Myers, you're a pro
Yeah,
Michael Myers, and just give it a shot. I'm like, you know what? Because you recommended it, was one of my good friends. I said, you know
mhm,
what? Give it a shot. Sat down and I watched it, and I'm like, this is actually not that bad
yeah,
of Halloween, not that bad of a little horror movie. Kind of remind me of an old Twilight Zone or Outer Limits episode, just a lot longer.
yeah.
And I thought the villain was great. I thought Cochran was just so damn sinister.
Oh yeah,
Atkins, you can't go wrong with
no.
Atkins.
And it has some great death scenes. The
Hmm.
one that still makes my head hurt every time he does it is when he grabs that guy's head and rips that out. It makes my head hurt. And if I've seen that movie 50 times, and if it can still make my head hurt every time I see that.
There's a certain death like that that makes my sinuses run. It's in Friday the 13th Part 4. It's when the guy's taking the shower and then Jason's arm comes through the glass shower door, grabs him right here, and he cracks like his bridge. I'm like, yep, my nose is gonna be running for the rest of the day because I saw that.
Yep. That, but like I said, I'm a sucker for Halloween 3. But I guess right now, was it Paramount Network or Peacock? Peacock. It is, looks like they're going to do a Halloween 3 TV series based in that universe.
That's what I'm. That's what I've been hearing too. I've actually been hearing three theories on what
Mm-hmm.
to do with it. Um, I've been hearing Paramount with Season of the Witch. They're going to do the whole anthology thing, which I think
Yeah.
would be really good, fresh start. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
if they're going to continue the franchise or just the name in general, do that because right now, back then, people were all about Michael Myers, but now that the horror genre is so universal and it's opened up to everything,
Mm-hmm.
no one wants the same thing anymore. Like
No.
like the other day, um, I've been on the fence with going to go see the new Exorcist movie because I love the original one. And I'm like, to me, that's one movie that didn't need to be a franchise because I felt like the first one had an open, a beginning, a middle, and an end. It didn't need all the sequels that it got.
But I love 3.
No,
3.
Exorcist 3 is great.
Alexis 3 was never supposed to be an Exorcist movie. It was
Hmm.
Legion. You I love the book. It was just a book with a demon in it, and possession, but there was no exorcism in the book at all.
Hmm.
And they were like, "Well, we're going to make this an exorcist movie." So they shot the entire movie, then had to go put that exorcism scene in at the end and do a whole nother scene, put that in because it was originally Legion, Exorcist 3.
Yeah,
Then it just became Exorcist 3, and then I think some places still is Exorcist 3 The Legion. So yeah.
I just say I call it by the novel's name because it's very close to Blatty's actual novel. I mean,
Yeah.
I have the novel over there on my shelf, both one the original Exorcist and Legion, and that's about as close as you can come to any uh book to screen adaptation that's faithfully done and actually done believable.
Yeah.
Because as much as I love Stephen King, I actually just watched the his version of The Shining, that 3-part miniseries,
Hmm.
and my goodness, there needs to be a re-edit of that movie because my God, there is so much in that that could be cut down.
Yeah. It
And
could definitely been a two-parter instead of a three-parter.
it didn't, well, here's the thing: it didn't even need to be a 3-part miniseries. I mean, it could have been just all right. To be fair, it's Stephen King. Stephen King overwrites everything. I would
Hmm.
have been fine if it was just like a 3 hour a 3 hour movie of the week. I would have been fine with that. It didn't need to be 3 parts. That's just me though. Stan, I can get because of that, because of how massive the book was though, but The Shining wasn't really that big.
Yeah.
But no, going back to The Exorcist, I didn't think I'm still on the fence about seeing the new one. And as for Halloween, like I said, there's three possibilities that we're gonna go. We're either gonna get the anthology approach, which I'd be game for. I would love to see it. That's
Hmm.
Carpenter's original vision for it. Um, then I've been hearing this one kind of piqued my interest a little bit though, but I'm like, I think she would only say yes to it though if they actually went in the direction that the character would, that they would finish the Danielle Harris
Yeah, I've
storyline,
heard that one too.
where it would pick up right after I would
5.
I would say 5, even though I don't like 5. 5 is not really a strong contender. It just for me personally, but it would erase 6, and
Hmm.
it would fill that continuity up. Or the other one that I've been hearing is that if A24 gets a hold of it, they're probably going to do the same thing as they did with that they're doing with Jason. They're going to do a limited mini series where it's going to be Michael's time in the institution, where it's going to be just following him. And if you read the comics of Halloween, the fan comics, there was some issues that showed Michael in the institution where he got his thirst for going on a killing spree because he killed some of the patients that were there.
Hmm.
And it was kind of touched upon in the novelization of Halloween as well, the very rare novelization that they're now reissuing.
Yeah, about time. I don't,
Yeah.
I don't, I don't want to pay fucking $200 for a damn paperback book. So
Oh, yeah. Blood Printing's doing and it's actually half novelization, half illustrated. So there's going to be like some pictures in it and everything, which is actually really cool. But I've read the um, the novelization, and I thought it was a very well written novel based on the movie, and they actually gave a lot more insights to know what we didn't see.
yeah,
The
yeah. I
re-
I read it back when I was in probably junior high or high school because I think this is what's sad part about it is I had those at one point, and I probably sold them off when I was like in high school or just out of high school because I needed to make room or my parents, um, when I moved from my parents' house to my first apartment, in the top of our garage, I had boxes upon boxes of paperback books because I was
Mhm,
reading 2 to 3 books a week through high school,
mhm.
and I read just shit tons. I had every Stephen King book, I had every Clive Barker book, every freaking Dean Koontz book. Plus, I had all these authors that no one's ever heard of. John Ferris, Teagues, Saul, all these band, and I had shit tons of like the novelizations of movies, and I know I had Halloween at one point, and I probably sold it for like $1. And but it was worthless back then. Nobody wanted it because that was like 93 or 94 when I moved out,
Now
and
it's
no one
like
cared.
considered one of those like rare like novelizations that if you go on like eBay, I think like a a good used one is like close to like almost like $200. I've
Yep.
seen one that's like in mint condition where they
Hmm.
want like thousands for it. I'm just like,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
not dropping my savings account for that.
Yeah, I legitimately, as soon as they started offering the paperbacks for the new Halloween movies, I bought them. I have them sitting over on a shelf. I
Oh,
do.
2018 Kills and
Yep.
Ends.
Yep.
And speaking of ends, have you read the ends novelization?
No,
Oh,
I've
you
not
haven't?
gotten to that one yet.
Well, I won't spoil it or anything though. The ending to it is I actually like the ending in the book. It's a lot more creepier and
Hmm.
it's kind of it reminds me of a lot of you know this whole thing with it jumping from Michael and going to someone else. I think it could have worked if it wasn't so shoehorned in the last movie. Because my thing is with the last one, and a lot of people have, who have really have compared my little version to the version that I did to the official one. They all said that the whole thing with, it switching from Michael to Corey was just shoehorned in at the very last minute. I mean, it happened in the last movie. And also his character was, just there.
Yeah.
And yeah, if they were really gonna do this as a trilogy, which it wasn't, it was supposed to be just one movie, and it did so well. And of course, everything has to be a freaking trilogy now, even though it doesn't. Um, they said they said that they have to have this character in there. If they really have to have the character in there, they should have established him in the first movie.
Yeah.
They should have established him as like, maybe this is the shy kid that, has a crush on Allison and she doesn't notice him until the later movie.
Hmm.
And I don't know, maybe show some scenes with Sartain about how he had a chance to study Michael a little bit more. Like there was like one or there could have been a scene like, there was one night where Michael, was kind of like mute and kind of like, really subtle in like his actions. And I remember him laying his hand on some patient, and then that person began acting like, sporadic or, going haywire. I mean, at least, I mean, if they would have like mentioned it and like planted the seeds, but the fact that he just grabs a hold of his neck and then it just happens.
Yep.
And the next scene you see is Lori looks out the window, and then Corey's standing there looking at her, standing still as a statue, and I'm just like, oh my god, they're doing this. I'm
Well,
like, they're going this direction.
I knew one early. I don't know if it was true, but a rumor that I remember hearing was they were going to go with the fact that since they got rid of the fact that Lori was his sister,
Mm-hmm.
you were going to find out that he was his like half brother.
Who, Mike? Oh, Corey?
Yeah,
Huh.
that would have been how they explained that the evil was always in the Myers family, that he was adopted or whatever, and that he was originally a Myers or at least half Myers or well a Myers, and that yeah.
You know, as I'm thinking about it, because I've mulled this over countless times, because I'm like, okay, well, which Lori do you like? Do you like the sibling or do you like the non-sibling? And honestly, I think both have their strengths
Mhm.
because they both, I can definitely see both of them happening though. But now that this is coming, this is the first time I've heard about this whole thing
Yeah,
with.
you never heard of that one yet? Oh no.
No, no, I have not heard of it. I would have actually, if they would have dropped that in there, I would have believed that.
Yeah,
I
because
would
that
have.
would have made sense. That he just kind of like activated it. It's always been there, and
Mhm.
that's why because Michael was a normal kid until that moment. That why Corey was a normal kid until the moment and it has that whole thing is that it's in the
It's in the it's in the blood. It's in his
yeah.
blood. It's in
Yep.
his DNA. And when he's exposed to it, and that makes so much more sense that if it went that way. But of course, it's in the bag. They're not going to do it again.
Nope.
I hope not, because I've already told everyone like this is it for Michael for me. I'm like, yes, I'll do my fan film, and if I would, it'd be a dream come true for me if I actually did my own official Halloween movie though. But I wouldn't go to the big extents like what they did. I would just make one movie and make it the ultimate movie, and then that would be it.
See, years ago, I don't know if I remember if I told you this one or not. I wrote a script, or at least, you know, maybe a synopsis of a script, I should say.
They call it a treatment.
Yeah, I wrote up a treatment for a Halloween movie, and basically what happens is mine's kind of a look at being poor, because at the time I was in dirt poor, and you were living where you were had to live. And what it is at a certain point, Haddonfield is abandoned essentially, and only
I think you mentioned this
yeah,
very briefly the last
yeah,
podcast.
I had it. It was the Haddonfield had kind of been abandoned for the most part by the people that lived there, and basically only like low income people lived there at that point.
Hmm.
But you could buy these really beautiful, nice houses for nothing because no one lived in Haddonfield.
Hmm.
No one was coming in and buying up houses like they are in the market and everywhere else. So basically, to live really well, people were moving to Haddonfield for dirt cheap. But once a year, you got to deal with a psychopath randomly murdering people.
Hmm.
And so, basically, like once a year, everybody shuts everything down. People, and like a fucking tornado or a hurricane's coming through.
It's like the purge where they just
Yeah,
barricade themselves inside their house.
yeah. And what it was then other people would like, okay, we're, fucking, I had people coming in from out that would like hunt, try to kill Michael Myers as like a trophy. And, so it was this whole kind of take on being low income, being poor, being kind of shit on, and how kind of like the upper class will save the lower class by coming in and trying to rid them of Michael Myers, only to be slaughtered themselves, instead of the other way around, where poor people die for rich people, and stuff like that. And I had this whole treatment I had done, and I kind of just put it aside because I was like, I'm never going to get it made, because at this point,
Honestly, I would actually like to see that rather than, what they're planning to do if they even do something else with, that character.
yeah.
I mean,
I've even heard that they were going back to to make the third movie from the Rob Zombie series that never got made, Halloween 3D.
oh, the one where it's a who done it, like
Yep,
you don't know who Michael is, and then at the very end it turns out it was actually supposed to be Laurie, because Laurie's now in the
is now the killer. Yep.
now in the institution, because at the end of H2 is what it's called.
Yeah.
You know, I I may give Rob a lot of crap in terms of like his
He
dialogue and his characters though, but I actually did enjoy his his cut of Halloween. I did enjoy his take. Now, did it have its flaws? Yes, it did. Same with the second one, but man, I was so glad that he gave a little bit of at least like a
yeah, he
fresh
tried something different,
yeah,
which has never been done. And I'll give him all the credit. I'm not a big fan of two, but I give him all the credit in the world for trying something different. It was
yeah,
it was a big swing. Did he miss? Maybe got a single off of it, but whatever. But you either got to swing, go big, or go home. And he went big and changed up shit to try to make it different. And I got to give him credit for that. So
yeah. I do too. I mean, do I think it's a masterpiece? No, it's not. I mean, there's a lot of flaws in the movie, but on a visual standpoint, I think it's breathtakingly beautiful. Tyler is a great Michael Myers. I mean, if anyone's gonna smash through a freaking door and shatter it to pieces,
he's
I
a
could
monster.
I could see him do it. I I haven't shared it yet though, but I'm gonna probably share my picture of him and I on my YouTube channel. I shared the picture of Gunnar Hansen and I just the other day because I've been playing a lot of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre game. But I got my picture taken. I met Tyler a couple of years ago, and when he stood up to take his picture with me, oh my God, did I feel like a like
Oh
you
yeah.
know like I felt like a hobbit next to him because
Oh
he's
no shit.
he-
I went to a horror hound when he was there because they had a lot of the cast of the uh, Rob Zombie's Halloween. So it was
Mhm.
him. It was Taylor. It was Daniel Harris. Trying to remember who else was there. Um, but I went there and met Daniel Harris, and she's tiny. So literally, I'm like
she's a
leaning.
she's tiny. Yeah, she's very
Yeah.
tiny.
So I'm like leaning in like this to get, to take this picture. And then me and my wife go because my wife wants to meet Tyler Maine. So we meet Tyler, and he's like leans down to put his arm around me, and I'm like, "You're a big fucking dude, man."
Yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big
Well, he
guy.
was part of the skyscrapers in WCW. He was Big
Oh yeah,
Sky.
yeah.
He's a big fucking tall wrestler with uh
And that's
Psycho Sid.
and that was the thing too. I heard you know, believe it or not, I kind of have two introductions with Tyler. My first introduction, even though I didn't know who he was, because in wrestling it's called kayfabe. They keep their
Yep.
real names, secret. So when I saw that character in WCW, I didn't know that was Tyler. So I had two meetings with Tyler. So saw him in wrestling because I'm a wrestling fan, and then I saw him again in Halloween. And then when I put two and two together that he's the same exact guy was when I met him and I saw the pictures on his table that he was signing. I'm like, wait a second, you're and he's just like, yeah, you didn't know that? Like I'm like, okay, I gotta tell you the story. So I told the story that I just told you, and he got a chuckle out of it though. I know he's a nice guy. I really, like him as a human being. And he just loves to talk about that character. And I love all the little subtle things that he did, especially as Michael, because he made him not just a force, but he actually gave him a little bit more of humanity to him, though, which is something that we never saw.
Yeah.
We only saw the evil force,
Yeah.
and then he kind of made him a little bit more human, which I did like. And I know a lot of people had its problems with it though, but I did enjoy what he did. And one of the last questions I asked him was, I'm like, I gotta say, and I saw it from the outtake reel. I'm like, how hard was it to keep a straight face with Malcolm McDowell? And he's just like, oh, you have no idea how hard it was for me to keep a straight face because Malcolm just he goes off. He likes to he'll do anything he can to make you laugh. And that's another one I want to meet soon. That's my favorite actor of all time, Malcolm McDowell.
That's one I want to meet because I'm getting to the point now where a lot of the people I'd really like to meet are getting to their golden years, and I'm like, oh, don't fucking die on me before I get to meet you.
Uh-huh.
Luckily, I've been able to meet a lot of people I've wanted to meet before they passed away. I got to meet Gunnar Hansen years ago. Had him on my old show when it
Hmm.
was still public access back in the day, and I've got to dig through like 1,000 fucking VHS tapes to see if I can find the tape because the raw footage still exists. The episodes are long gone because those were at the TV station that I was working at,
Hmm.
and I never got them back. So those are fucking gone.
So
But
you taped them off of when they broadcast then.
I should have, but they were on Tip City Public Access here in Ohio. Um, the TV station still exists, and part of me wants to go in there and be like, "Hey, you wouldn't still happen to have any of the stuff from back in the early 2000s floating around here, would you?"
Honestly, if I was in your position, if you had access to it, I would just give it a go. I mean, the worst thing they could say is no. I mean,
Yeah,
that's the worst thing they can do. I mean, honestly, I would try to hunt. If it was up to me, I would try to hunt down the actual like reels and everything.
yeah. I have the raw footage. I have the little because I was recording on at the time because this is gonna tell you how long ago this was. I was recording on the mini VHS tapes.
Mini DVs, I still have some of them.
Yeah, and I used to do that, and I used to go to conventions, and we went to a couple big ones right in a row, and like everybody wanted to do the show. So like I have all this raw footage, and it still exists. It's in boxes, I think, in my storage unit. At least the raw footage does. But I have interviews with um, Andre from the Sean from Monster Squad, uh, three people from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So Gunnar Hansen, um, and then why can't I'm drawing a fucking blank on the names? The two dudes that were in the van. Uh,
Kirk and Jerry.
yeah, Kirk and Jerry got those
I,
two.
I only know them by character name. I don't know their
I don't
actual
know their real names either.
real names.
Um,
I know Marilyn. I know Marilyn. She's the one that played Sally. She
yeah,
was sadly passed away not too long ago.
yeah. Um, I met that was one of the times I met Tiffany Sheffis. I met Michael Berryman. I have all this footage of all the stuff that they did for my show back in the day, and it's the episodes are gone, but at least I still have the raw footage. I just have to
Right.
find it. Huh?
As I said, right? No, well, like I said, worst thing they could say is no, we don't have it. I mean, at least you went there and tried. But the good thing is that you have Plan B. You have the raw footage. I mean,
Hmm.
now it's going to be in tip-top shape. I have no idea.
Yeah.
I know
My
it's early 2000s. Those mini DV tapes don't really, they don't have the crystal clear quality that they do now.
I I went through, found some old footage of when we were ghost hunting one time, and I'm just like, oh my god, this is horrible footage. How the hell were we think? No wonder everybody thought we were seeing ghosts. This footage is horrible. I was the only one that didn't think we
Little
saw a ghost.
pixel, little pixel right there. That is a ghost saying hi.
I was able. It was bad because I had people like, dude, did you see this? So I've had a big ass TV since like the fucking early 2000s.
Mhm.
And so I'm the only one. Everybody else is watching on like a 30-inch television. And they're like, look how good this is. I'm like, I'm watching on like a 60-inch television. So I'm like, you know what that was? And they're like, what? That was an owl. What was that? That was a deer. I'm like, because what? They're like, because I can see it. When you get this, when you go from this big to this big, you can
Mhm.
see all that little shit. And yeah, my one buddy's like, oh, I got all this footage. And I'm like, he sent me his footage. I'm watching it. And I'm watching it. I'm like, yep, there's an owl. The big ass. It did it. It was an owl. It came down in the frame and then back out. But it happened so quick that you just see this white thing go through the screen like that. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck? So I'm literally like, click,
going
click,
going frame
one
by
frame at a time. And all of a sudden you see, I'm like, there it is. The fuck is that? Click. What is that? And I click. And then I see it kind of turn. I'm like, that's a fucking owl. Damn it. And the other one was like, there's footage, and we're in a dry riverbed, and it was where it's one of them like crybaby bridge stories. So it was at one time it was a covered bridge. It had burned down,
Mhm.
and the story is that a woman threw her baby off there because it was a illegitimate baby. There's all these different stories, and we're in underneath the bridge, so we're recording all this stuff, trying to figure out where the sounds are coming from and shit. And we found out where almost everything, but all of a sudden, man, you see this thing moving in the background, and it disappears. And this was like 3 days later because we got weird footage the first time. That's why we went back. Well, like 3 days, like a week later. And then I'm sitting there watching that footage. I'm watching it and watching it, and I'm like, what the hell? Click, 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 and then it turns and looks at the camera, and I get the eye shine for like 1 second. It turns back around and darts off because it can see us. And I'm like, that's a damn deer. But it was so far back that if you just watched it on like a regular TV, it was cool because it looked like a shadow that
Right.
just briefly looks at you and then takes back off into the woods.
You see that's
And but
this
yeah, fucking deer.
when it comes to like those caught on video like ghosts, aliens, or like
Yeah.
whatever. I mean, you you see it on a small screen, so it can pretty much be anything because
Yep.
depending on what equipment that you have, and then you blow it up to the big screen, and then you have the ability to go frame to frame, which you didn't have back then. Now you do, and now you can actually see that, and it's just no, it it makes ghost hunting like a lot more difficult because now back then back then, I mean, you could basically say, "Oh my God, what was that?" You could say that, that was like, my ancestor saying hi to me though. But like you said, if you go frame by frame now, it's like it was a owl, the
Hmm.
deer, or what I like to say, like those are pixels,
Yep.
especially with like when people say like, "Oh, you see that orb?" I'm just like, that's a digital glitch. Come on.
Or orbs are just fucking dust or rain or mist in the air. You know, I'm the skeptic. So when we used to go ghost hunt, I was a skeptic. My wife was the believer. We had other people that used to go with us. And we had the one guy who wanted to find something so bad.
Mhm.
Everything was a ghost. I was one of the few people that actually got of all people. I and my mom was the only two people that got weird shit that we could not explain on film. And we've is it supernatural? We don't think so. Is it anomalous? Yes. Um, when we went down, like I said, where that bridge caught on fire, we're walking down. I'm filming, and they're at one point before they built the new bridge, they put this big pile of dirt, and there was this big ass rock they set on there from the quarry across the street, and they painted danger in reflective paint on it. So, and it was well, when they built the bridge, they just bulldozed that shit into the riverbed. So there was a rock that still said Dan because the rest of it had broke off. So it's like, oh, it's a fucking Dan rock. And I go like that. And then my fucking camera goes ape shit. The footage starts looking like all fuzzy and stiff. You can hear us talking, but the picture goes crazy.
That's weird.
And I'm like, it didn't show up at first, and then it does. And we're watching it. My wife was watching it on the computer, and she cleans it up, and it looks like fire, which the bridge burnt down. So we're like, okay, that's fucking weird. So that's why we went the following weekend to record again to see if we could get it to do it again, which we've never been able to get it to do it a second time. And it's funny because I've showed that footage to people, and I showed that shit to like Steve Gonzalez from fucking Ghost Hunters. And we're at Pittsburgh Comic Con, and he's just like watching. He's like, what the fuck? And I'm like, he goes, we've never got anything this good. And I'm like, of course not.
It was almost like a rip in time, like showing you the past.
Yeah. And it was just weird shit. And then we recorded at another place, not far from one of the houses I grew up in. We used to have this place called Dead Man's Curve. A Dead Man's Curve was an S curve that went across the train track like this. In the For the longest time, up until like the late 90s, there was no train crossings there, and there was trees. So you could not see those train tracks till you were right up on top of them.
Hmm.
And a lot of people died there over the years getting hit by trains or hitting trains. So we're recording there, and we're sitting there talking, and my mom is taking pictures. And in between a few of us, there is a cloud, roughly human shaped, of mist. We could not get it to do that again, but we assumed because it was cool, it was around October, it was night, so we assumed that it's, from our breath or whatever, but it's anomalous. And I showed him those pictures, and he's just like, you have a ghost on film. And I was like, hey, it's not a ghost, dude. There's no way. Nobody saw it. It didn't show up. And he's like, no, man, you got something there. And the one guy who always wanted to catch, was so pissed that he did not get that on film,
Oh my God.
and he got angry. And to the point where we would go sun it a few more times after that. We made sure that we did not take him with us, because if he didn't, because he's one of those, oh, I got orbs, and he'd freak out if you got any little thing. And we went to a dam, and people have killed themselves on this dam. They've jumped off of it, and there's all these legends behind this area. And he's like, listen to that. You can hear. I'm like, dude, that's people fucking with us. They know we're here. So the neighborhoods will the people will screw with us because they know that we're up on this thing trying to get footage, and so they're out in the woods screwing with us. And he's like, no, you listen to him. I'm like, dude, that's people fucking with us. It's like, Believe me, I know. And he goes, how do you know? I was like, because 20 years ago, I was that kid out there fucking with people on this bridge. And legitimately, I was. There is a it's Lockington Dam. It's local. It's like 10 miles up the road from me. Maybe not even that far now. Um, but there's a whole legend. There's a legend of a werewolf in that area too.
Huh.
And one glorious year, I was the werewolf on Lockington Dam.
Oh, nice.
I had a really nice werewolf. I had a really nice werewolf costume that got made for me. So it has the fur coming through the chest. There was rips and fur coming out through the holes. I had gloves. I had a really nice mask, and I would wear aviator sunglasses underneath that. So if you looked, my eyes were chrome. So it would fuck with people. So people would go parking up there and hooking up. And I'm sitting there, and we're at my friend's house, which was like only like an eighth of a mile away from this area. And we saw this car go down there, and this is right around Halloween. So I had my Halloween costume in my car. And I'm sitting there going, we're going to keep an eye on them. And they were gone. They were still there. They were still there. I'm like, oh, this is going to be fun. So I put the full costume on. I put the hood on. And I go up there, and the car's like a rock, and they're going at it. And I go running up, and I leaped on the trunk of the car, and I slammed my head up against the back window. And the girl's underneath the guy. And the girl looks up, and she just sees me slamming up against the glass. And she fucking freaks. She starts screaming, beating on the guy. And I run over the roof of the car, off the hood, into the woods. And you can see the guy gets out of the car, and because they're in the back seat. He gets out of the car, fucking nothing on, hops in the driver's seat, and they fucking take off. But that is one of the, and I could have got shot. Because now I look back and I'm like, I'm a fucking idiot. Because I could have just got, boom, blasted me through the glass or something. But
pulled a Tom Savini from, pulled a Joe Strudel from Maniac.
Yeah. And I was driving. So I was probably just 16, just being a complete and total dumbass. So
sounds like something that I would do.
And it was so much, but that's made it even worse. So there's people like, oh my god, I saw the Wolfman, and that was me.
Can you imagine that someone out there is actually telling that story right now?
Oh yeah, they're like,
and they come across this.
They're gonna be all of a sudden they're happen to be like, that motherfucker. But yeah, I did, man, because I'm just going at it. So I wish I had claws, but I had the gloves that were like on one side were cloth and on the other side were hair. So you see me and I'm like, there's hair on the claws and shit. But I wish I had like made like plastic so I could like scratch down the glass and shit.
I almost wish you had like a hidden camera on you so you can at least get like a reaction. Because oh my god,
it'd be like a body cam, like a cop. So I have
that would be the greatest like caught in the moment footage ever. I mean, God, wow.
It was so much fun. It was, and like I said, it was one of the funnest, dumbest things I've ever done in my, because I never thought it, what fuck somebody could shoot me. And I'm running through a wooded area, pitch black, wearing sunglasses at night at full sprint. And I could have hit a tree or tripped and fell, broke my leg. No, I'm fucking running to be. And literally, like I said, it was only like an eighth of a mile from my friend's house. But I had to cut through the woods and like run around so they couldn't see me instead of just running back the way I came. But yeah, it was one of the.
I bet they had a good laugh after you told them what you did.
Because they knew I was doing it. They're like, oh, what are you doing? I'm like,
they didn't stick around and watch her.
No, because they were back at the house, and all of a sudden you just see this fucking car just run. Just tear off down the road. And I'm like, I did my job. I'm good. But oh my god, the dumb shit you'll do as a kid, thinking there's no repercussions or no, and then you're like, look back, I'm like, how am I still alive?
Right. I wish that we weren't living in such sensitive times right now because, I used to do stuff like that, and now I can't even well, I wouldn't do it now because I have kids and I don't want them to be without a father or anything though, but my God, just to be able to go out and just to really, like, prank scare someone because when you really scare someone, they become themselves for, like,
Oh man,
that microsecond.
dude.
It it's hilarious.
Oh yeah. I was able to screw with the kid that lived next door at one point when I lived out in the country. I had my Jason mask. I had gotten one of those really nice the Father's Day scene from Creepshow. I had
Oh,
that mask.
oh, what's that? Nathan,
Yeah.
the
I had
father?
that mask. Well, I used to wear it underneath a hockey mask because if you pulled the mask off, there's still a fucking rotted corpse underneath there. And so I'm wearing this mask, and this mask in like 1988 was like $100. I saved up like a full week's pay at my little shitty job to go buy a mask. And so I buy this mask, and my neighbor kid, his mom is visiting my mom, and she's like, he's watching Friday the 13th, and it's scaring the shit out of him, but he keeps watching them. I went, oh, is he now? So I put on my coveralls. I put the mask on. I put the other mask on. I grab my machete, and I'm just walking around the house. And all I do is walk around his house because we're out in the country. There's not like there's a whole lot of neighbors. I mean, there is, but there's nothing to call the cops. So I'm walking around his house, and pretty soon I would leave and I'd go back next door, and he'd be calling his mom, "Go, Mom, there's somebody outside." She's like, "There's nobody outside. You're just freaking out. Stop watching those horror movies." And as soon as she got off the phone, I'd walk back outside and I'd walk around, and pretty soon I'd just stop in front of the window and I'd stare in the window, and then I would just walk off. So if he would just see little snippets of me running, walking around, I'd walk back over to my house. He, Mom, there's somebody here. And she's like, I just looked outside. There's nobody there. Shut up. Stuff like that. And I'm sitting there, and I go outside, and I'm walking around, and I'm walking, and I can see right in their front window, the couch is right in front of the window. The TV's right there. I stop, and I'm just standing in the window, like just this far away from the window. He can see my reflection on the TV, and you can just see, you all of a sudden you see this head slowly turn around, and he looks, and I just tap my head up against the glass, and I'm like looking down at him. And I don't want to lie, I have like pitch black eyes. My eyes are fucking dark. So all he does
Yeah.
is looks up, and he looks me dead in the eyes and sees and he jumps, and he fucking runs. And I can hear him like stumbling around the house, and I head back door, and he's like, Mom, there's somebody there. Come over here now. And she's like, there's nobody there. And I come, and she walks over to the house, and she walks in the door, and I'm walking like 10 feet behind her. So she goes in the garage and in their side door. And as she's getting ready to close the door, I'm standing behind her. And I
God.
pull off the mask, the first mask, and then there's the rotted corpse underneath that. And then I grab it and I pull up, and I've never seen cry so fucking hard in his entire life. And now I feel bad about it because I probably traumatized the kid for life. But he realizes me, and he's like, fuck you. And his mom's like, stop it, knock it off. You just fucking with you. But it was one of the best scares I've ever been able to do, like that level. I worked at a haunt. I did a haunted trail, and I've been able to fuck with people there. And I'm not gonna lie, grown adult men would knock their fucking girlfriends
Oh,
over to get
oh
the
yeah.
fuck away from you.
Oh,
And, and it was real bad. I had it rigged up so that I could come, and they would walk down this one path, and I would come from the side path. You couldn't see me until I was behind you, the way I had it rigged up. and I had a gas mask on, so like a legit like Vietnam Arab gas mask. So all you can do is suddenly just hear me breathing behind you. And I come out of the corn, and these guys are walking with their girlfriends, like, oh, this bullshit. And all of a sudden you hear me going, and they're like, these guys shove their girlfriends and take off running. The corn maze goes this way, hard, and they don't stop. They fall into the corn and get up. And the one guy goes, I pissed my pants. And he's running, holding his pants up. And he takes off running. I'm standing there, and the girls are just like, and I walk up and I pull the mask off, and I'm like, okay, you want to fuck with these guys? And they're like, yeah, follow me. I took the girls through the cornfield, so they ended up ahead of the guys at full run.
Oh my God.
And so suddenly I'm behind the two girls, and I have my hands on both of their necks, and they're standing, and these guys come around the corn, and that's all they see is me holding their girlfriends by their necks. And the sheer amount of terror on grown adult men's faces is insane.
It is.
So
It is, and I can vouch for that. You talk about doing haunts and everything. I worked at Erebus a couple of seasons, and like I said, whenever you scare anyone, it brings out like who they really are
yeah,
as a person. And of course, I've had a couple people take a swing at me, and actually a couple of people have actually made connections to my face. But there was one time where um, just I jumped out, scared the person. This guy, he had to be at least 6'7", and big burly guy. His girlfriend could have been like 95 pounds soaking wet. Very petite little thing. And I jump out, and my God, did he show his true colors when he just pushed her in front of me, and then he took off running. And I stop, and I'm looking at him, and I think I'm mask. I'm like, does he always act like that? And she started laughing, and she's like, he's very easily scared. I'm just like, obviously, damn.
you know,
I,
I
I I was gonna mess with them even more though, but it was Erebus though. There was more people coming, so I couldn't like leave my station or anything though. But sounds like you had you know you had a little bit of extra time on your hands. Like, you know what, come with me. We can go through the field right here.
well, we could radio back and be like, don't send anybody through yet. Don't send anybody through yet. We put the walkie down, and
Mhm.
like, then we could fuck with people. The best one was the final night, the last night. These kids kept coming through, and they kept coming through because it was part of a larger thing. So you just pay once, and you could keep going around. So they just kept coming through and fucking with us because they knew where we were and shit like that. And even though I would move, and a couple other people just stayed in one spot. But I would do weird shit. Like I had a big long chain with a big fucking hook just attached to the end, and I would just drag it. I never used it for anything. You just hear that and the rattling of the chain. Fuck people up. Gas mask. Just weird shit that I could just totally fuck with people with. Other people, had fucking fake knives and axes and shit and stuff. No, I had a chain and a gas mask. And I could freak out more people than the other people could. But so we're waiting last night, whatever. These guys like, oh, you can't come out, you can't get us, because we'd stand at the edge of the wood, at the edge of the cornfield, and they're sitting there. We're just watching. We'd watch them for a minute, and then we'd walk back into the corn. And into the night, it's like midnight. We're like, okay, this is the last group of people going through. So we got on our walkies, like, all right, fucking, we're gonna fuck with these guys. So we're sitting there, we're waiting. We can see them. So we're kind of like keeping back. We have girls that were working with us take their masks off and go out and walk with the rest of the people. And it was right by like, oh, they're at the gazebo or whatever the hell it was. And I'm like, all right. Fucking midnight hits. They're like, hey, the maze is closed. The maze is now closed. And you can hear these guys laughing. And all of a sudden, man, like 10 of us just walk out of the corn, full costume, no shit. and we made a beeline right for him. We walked past everybody else, and we're like walking over shit. I'm walking over picnic tables, not direct fucking line, not moving, not walking around, just walking over whatever's in my way. And we walk over, and all of a sudden we're like, ah, and my one buddy comes ripping out of the cornfield with a chainsaw. And he comes out, and we're all surrounding them at this moment. None of us are speaking, none of us are breaking character. And we're standing on picnic tables and shit, and we're like getting closer and closer to them. And you can kind of see them starting to like, did we fuck up? And, and they're like, oh, you can't touch us, you can't touch us. And right as soon as he said, you can't touch us, one guy grabbed his shoulder. And, we couldn't like forcibly do anything.
Right.
Like, because you saw, by entering this, blah, 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 you get that on your little ticket, that we can, grab you and shit like that. Fuck with you. We couldn't like tear you back into the woods or anything like that.
Right.
But we could like girl you, like grab you and shit like that. And the one guy just slowly grabs this kid's shoulder like that. And this kid straight up and like Scooby-Doo style. He does it, yeah, and he's gone. His buddy's turn, and this is a guy who's been talking shit all night. His buddy's turn, he's gone. And he's out in the fucking car lot at this moment. And so the other guys are like, fuck you, okay. And we start walking towards them. And they're backing up. There's sheriffs there because they got to keep make sure everything's all right. Because like, this is a big thing. And they walk to the sheriff's and the sheriffs just look at them and sidestep and walk away from them. And we just keep walking. We walk all the way out into the parking lot. And we surround their cars and shit like that. And so we're like sitting there. We never do anything. We never, like I said, the one guy grabbed his shoulder just to get the guy to fucking run. But we're like legitimately like looking in their windows, like this close to their windows and stuff like that, not touching anything, not like scratching anything, just fucking. And those guys were gone. they thought for sure that we could not do anything, that we couldn't come out of that cornfield until we did. And then it was on.
It was on. I see, that's what I love about the Halloween season so much, is that you go to those haunts, and you got those people that are willing to go the extra mile just to get a good scare. I gotta share this story before we move on.
Yeah.
My wife and I went to a haunted house a couple of years ago, and it was one of those ones where it was inside outside. So we got the outside segment. We walked around this this creek area, and we came across this little shack. It was kind of dressed up as like a haunted fishing shack. I was like, oh, that looks sweet. And they had like some sacks of corn and everything, and I didn't know who was gonna come out or anything. I was waiting for it because I know the setup, because I worked at a haunted house. I've seen the movies. I know when the scares are gonna be coming. So we're sitting there, we're walking, and her and I are kind of just like talking, and it's like, what do you think it's gonna be? Is it gonna be like, Creature from the Black Lagoon, a fish man, this? And then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, a chainsaw revs up, and then out bursts someone dressed as it could have been, it had to have been like someone dressed as Leatherface, though, but it wasn't like Leatherface. It was like their own version of it.
Mhm.
My wife screamed so loud and took off running. I have never seen her run that fast in my entire life. And me, I started running though, but after like running for like a couple of steps, I stopped because I was laughing so hard, because just seeing her just run, because she was like, we were talking, blah, 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 ah! Gone, just gone. And I'm hunched over and I'm laughing, and the guy behind me with the chainsaw, I was just like, hey, how's it going? But yeah, I would probably die in a horror movie because, I would see other people get scared and I would just be laughing at them.
See, that was one of my problems now. I went to a haunted house a couple years ago, and I couldn't stop laughing. And one of the guys got pissed. He's like, "We're all fucking funny." I'm like, "Dude, you don't understand. I can't not laugh at this. It's
Mhm,
fucking because you got me. I'm ready for everything. And when somebody gets me, I'm happy because somebody got me. Because
mhm.
I'm the guy. It's like that guy's around the corner. There's a guy under the floorboards here. There's somebody's gonna come from the ceiling here. This. And when somebody gets me, I'm fucking yeah.
Yeah, same here.
And
And I had to explain that to, a couple of people. I mean, like you said, some of them, they take it very seriously.
mhm,
Like, look, it means no disrespect to you or anything, though, but it takes an awful lot just to get me to even react or even kind of creep me out in a
yeah,
way because I've seen, you know, I work in the industry, so
yep,
I've been around it. It takes a lot for me just to just to even get a reaction though. When it, but when you do get me, and I do bust out laughing. I mean, that's not a laugh at me because I think it's funny though. It's a laugh because it's like, okay, you freaking got me.
exactly.
And I love that you got me because it takes an awful lot just to even get me to jump. Like last night, we're doing our horror movie marathon and we watched Smile for the first time last night. And there was one part that actually made me jump, and it made me jump so high that I think I felt like I actually touched the ceiling when I jumped. And it was the have you seen Smile?
Yeah, I've seen Smile. Oh, wait a minute, hold on. Spoiler alert, if you haven't seen Smile,
There's well, there's a scene where she is investigating this thing that's following her. I think you probably know what scene I'm talking about. She's listening to a previous recording and she hears her name
yep,
and she's like, "What is that?" And those paranormal movies where they like, they'll get a recording of an area and then they'll hear something very faint and then they'll like manipulate the audio to like boost it so they can hear it. So you're waiting for it to get to there, and then all of a sudden it cuts back to her, and that thing is like right behind her face, and she's like, "Rosie!" And hmm, I freaking flew out of my seat. I was not expecting that. I was waiting for it to say, "Rosie," and it was gonna cut back to her face, like, okay, there is something going on here, though. But no, instead of that, I get the Rosie, and it's like, no, like, don't do that. Don't do that.
now, I gotta say this as a filmmaker, have you ever really looked and studied? See, I've done that because I'm working on my first movie,
Mhm.
and I kind of the worst part about it is I was yet again this close, had a cast, had locations, had everything. I've lost all but my location, which is my shop because that's mine. I'm not losing that,
Right.
and one actress. I've lost everybody else.
It's a very cutthroat industry, and it's sad. I mean, I've been trying to do Within the Shadows since 2014, though, but I life is very unfair,
Yeah,
unfortunately, and honestly, my attitude is it. My attitude toward it is that look, if no one's going to be a part of it, then they never wanted to be a part of it to begin with. That's just the way it is. And honestly, I know that people want to make a living, and I know that times are extremely tough right now with inflation and whatnot, though. But money is not money
see,
is
that's just it. I have a budget. I I I got one guy to front me 5 grand for my movie.
at least you got a budget though.
Yeah,
That's the thing
and
I don't
I
have.
have actresses. Well, what's the pay? What's the pay? I'm like, well, one, I haven't hired you yet, so let's see how this goes.
Right.
Then we want to do this. They were talking. Some of them were wanting pay and wanting me to tell them how much they were making before we even talked about anything. And I'm like, I don't even know if you're right for the part. You know,
That's and a lot of people in the industry from the indie perspective, they don't they think that when they sign on to a movie, they think they're gonna get like, they think they're gonna be paid like, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. No, that's not how it's gonna be. I mean, I mean, I'm bringing it up because I've been playing the game a lot more.
Yeah,
I've played the game a lot. Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There are I found out not too long ago. I found out that that whole dinner scene, the famous dinner scene with Grandpa and the
yeah.
hook hitchhiker, shot in 27 straight hours because the actor who was playing Grandpa was only available for one
Yep.
day, and he had to get all of his scenes done because he wasn't going to be available. So they shot 27 straight hours, and I don't think any of those actors received any pay until years later, until the movie became like,
I don't
proper.
think anybody really made money off that because I remember
I
that's
don't
like
think I don't think
Mafia
Yeah,
had the
I don't
money.
think I just read about that, and I want to do a little bit more research about that because I hear so many rumors like, oh, this movie was owned by the mafia and etc. And I believe that in the porn industry because that's a lot of money right there though. But I don't know, just there's certain things that I don't believe though. I have to do like research on it and everything though. But if it turns out it was, it would not surprise me. But but no, but the whole thing is that these actors think that they're going to get paid, such a ridiculous salary. And it's like, you do know that me, you, and the other casual Joe that has come up with this idea, you know, we work 9 to 5. I work at a hospital. I do this for so many hours a day. And then I come home and I do editing. Yes, I work in the industry though, but it's not full time. So they just think that we're going to have access to the money, and that's what it's become. It's become such a capitalistic business where it's like if there's no money involved, then it's like what's the point? And I just think that's just ass backwards
Well,
because
dude,
you got
I,
people out there that are so talented, so driven, and you really just need to think of like being paid as like a bonus.
yeah. Dude, I've
That's
been in multiple movies, and you know how much money I've made off those movies?
hmm
Zero.
I was for the record, I was actually in the original Transformers movie, the first one, by Michael Bay. I only made $80 for being a construction worker during the Battle of Los Angeles, even though it was clearly downtown Detroit, because you can see Ford Field in the background.
Yeah.
In the final cut, you only saw the back of my head for like a microsecond because the way that Michael Bay cuts all of his movies and everything, they're just like ugh, like an
Yeah.
orgy of images.
30-second cuts. There's no shots lasting longer than 30 seconds in a Michael Bay movie.
Exactly.
Yep. But
What was that American Dad joke? Michael Bay's got a book out, and it was basically just him, just like this with an explosion. It says how to F an explosion. I
are
think
we
it. I think it was American Dad. It could have been Family Guy. I don't know.
we make fun of that shop. Anytime there's a movie with lots of explosions, I'm like, well, this must be directed by Michael Bay.
Right?
Michael Bay explosion bag. There we go.
Anything with explosion, low camera shots of girls in tight short jeans, or someone lifting weights. That's definitely Michael Bay. Oh, and the long mullet.
Yeah. You gotta have that you gotta have that
Yep, you got to have that long
long
the
drag because that's in all of the Transformer movies. That's in Bad Boys.
bad
It's in
boy.
Island. It all has that like slow motion turn where they realize they're in shit.
And I think they had it once in to be honest, I mean, to be fair, there are a couple of Bay movies that I do like. I do like The Rock because I just love I love the chemistry between Nicolas Cage and Sean Connery, and also Ed Harris is such a good actor as well. But I do love that movie, and mainly just because Sean Connery just gives Nicolas Cage so much shit throughout that movie, and it's just hilarious. But yeah, there is that one shot where it's like, "Hey, man, Just fucked up your Ferrari. It's not mine.
But my whole thing is I love The Rock because they actually finally confirmed that the theory is that he's James Bond.
Oh, you're a believer of that theory that
Yeah, that he is the original James Bond and he is the yeah, and I'm like, yeah, and I guess like before Connery died, I guess he's like, yeah, that makes sense. It's good. Yeah, that's what I'm going with. So
he was on his deathbed.
gosh, that's who I am. I'm James Bond in that movie.
Yes, he was on his deathbed, so he was willing to say anything.
But no, there's I'm having problems because I got till December to film the short for segment for my movie, which I've had to shit can everything because I lost everybody. I lost the one location because we were supposed to have this gag where the characters are escaping my comic shop because it's basically magic players versus aliens is what the whole premise of mine is.
Okay.
There's think they're escaping, so they escape through what is our my back room, which leads to the insurance place. But we're gonna film it so it would shoot out into the hair place not next door, but one storefront down. And now that's gone. But we were gonna have the storefront where they think they get away and they come through, and the female aliens are in there getting their hair done, waiting for them on the other side of the door when they open up the door. That was again. It was going to be a kind of a parody, like a really kind of dark parody. And then, like I said, I lost the actresses. They spaced. I'm still. I mean, whatever happens,
Well,
you got
my
the job, good, whatever. But
my advice to you is, if you stick to your vision, whether if it's a feature or a short, I mean, don't just can it because certain people are being flaky. I mean, uh, that's, I mean, flaky people are part of our society.
oh, it's part of
Sadly,
this
and
whole yeah.
and it does, and it's comes with it comes with everything. It with film, writing a book, doing music, especially writing music from what I understand. Um, and I mean, yeah, just don't give up on it.
Yeah.
Uh,
Although we're thinking about taking all the money that we're getting and stuff like that and just doing a dropping out of the since I got it, my guy wants to work with us. He wants to give us money to work on a movie. Um, the producer, I thought about just getting a hold of him going, dude, what if I just make a feature? And because me and my sons have worked on a feature for years, and it's an ongoing joke with cobs. We have this ongoing joke about cobs because cobwebs, and it's like because it started out with, why abandoned houses are full of cobwebs, right? And they're like because they weren't abandoned before the cobs got there, and the cobs were. We have this whole. We went to have this. I have a friend who did voiceover, who was a DJ, so he has a good voiceover voice, and we were going to have this whole thing is like man's first enemy, blah 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 blah, and it was going to be the cob and this is what killed the dinosaurs and bullshit that this fucking invisible spider that we call the cob is wiping out. So we have to build a prop for the spider because they're invisible. And we're gonna have people like emaciated and fucking covered in webs and shit. And that was gonna be the whole, because it was gonna be a parody of like arachnophobia and all them crazy spider movies and shit. And then there was a movie I watched recently. I think it's called Island Zero, and they have the best premise ever. The fucking monsters are invisible, so they don't have to show them. They have one, a dead one. When they die, you can see it. And I'm like, God damn, that's brilliant. You don't have to have a fucking monster because it's invisible. And I'm like, shit. Why did I think of that? And I'm like, fucking. So we just told the whole thing that the cob's an invisible giant spider. And it cloaks itself and stuff. Yeah, we have this whole thing, and I'm thinking about just going with that.
It reminds me of that South Park episode of the 2 days before the day after tomorrow, where it shows like the the global warming, and it shows like everyone running away, and then it's playing the dramatic music, and you just see like nothing behind them at all. That's
It's
funny.
we were like I said, I'm watching that stupid movie and I'm like, invisible monsters. Damn, that's brilliant. I mean, yeah, we got the Predator who's invisible, but we could. But oh my god,
Well, you also have to realize too that even the new Invisible Man movie kind of had that same problem too. They didn't have that much money to work with, and so um, Lee Randall, who's the writer of Saw, who was also the writer of this new Invisible Man movie, what he did was that he used a lot of wide shots in that movie, and there was a lot of empty space in a lot of those shots, and a lot of it was framed up to where someone could be, you know,
there. Yep.
there. And what it was is that every time that you would see a shot like that, it's actually him, standing there. Yeah, I saw him playing your X-Men cabinet a little bit ago.
Oh yeah, that cat loves hanging out there. So does the other one. I don't know why they love hanging out on the cabinets. And now that I got that one, they want to hang on that one all the time.
I just thought it was funny. I'm like, she's playing X. I'm like, yeah, he's playing X-Men.
Yep. Yeah, Lucy. That's my wife's cat, Lucy Purr.
Aw, Lucy Purr.
Lucy Purr. And my cat is floating around here somewhere, Maisie, Mazikeen. We were watching the TV show Lucifer, and we decided when we got our cats. So we named them after Lucifer and Mazikeen. What's up, Lucy? Where's your sister? Where's your sister?
Probably upstairs.
No, she's here somewhere because the cats don't go upstairs. Cats hang out down here.
Oh,
Dogs
okay.
are upstairs because if we were recording with the dogs, I would have had to let them out like 5 times now because they do not let me record. So really, what do you need? Oh, okay.
It's like, are you almost done?
Yeah. She's like, I need something. Really? So, although I probably need to get ready to wrap this up a little bit because my wife's getting ready for bed. My wife just started a new job, so
yeah, I'm good. Oh, she Did she start tomorrow?
no, she started last week, but she's still doing all of her training and stuff, and so she's traveling from here to Cincinnati, which is about an hour and 20
Oh,
minutes.
she's got a long commute then. And
Yeah. Yeah,
I
she just started working. She's been in the medical field, but she got the job she finally wanted in the medical
That's
field.
awesome. Tell her I
Yeah.
say congratulations on that.
She's so happy. She went from working in a doctor's office as a medical assistant. She got her degree in medical office management. She went and took over was working at a nursing home or assisted living facility. And basically, they kind of shit on her, and they start putting all this other work on her that wasn't hers. Like she was cooking and stuff like that. And I'm like, she went from being in a restaurant to being in the medical field. She did not want to backtrack. And
No one wants to backtrack. It's kind of where I'm at right now, job wise and everything, because I feel like that with the blue collar job, I'm just backtracking, and it's like I'm not moving forward because I've already gone to school for what I've gone for, for film and television, and I just don't want to backtrack. I'm tired of cleaning the ER rooms and everything. So that's why I'm pushing forward with, doing this and networking with people.
oh yeah, it's fun being able to do this. It's fun being able to do what I do. I mean, I do this show. Literally, I left the show, ran upstairs, let the dogs out, used the bathroom while my stuff was changing. My Zoom stuff was going over. Took the dogs back upstairs, got down here, and then we recorded because I was doing a whole nother show for a whole nother channel because I do a heavy metal show now. And so we were talking with a band out of Pennsylvania this week. And the week before, we were talking to a friend out of Dayton area. We just did an interview with a band out of London, England. We did
nice.
Yeah. And we've got all these bands lined up. And now I've got like big bands that I'm going to work with. I mean, I don't know if I listen to the metal and stuff like that, but I also like synthwave.
I do too. I'm a huge metal head.
And
Most of my music is all metal anyway.
and this band Health,
Mhm.
I got an interview with them.
Oh, nice.
Got to get it. And I'm like, I love this band. They've worked on music for John Wick. They worked on music for Atomic Blonde. They did music for Max Payne 3. They've done a lot of video game and movie music, because they're synthwave, and they do remixes of other songs. And I just reached out to them, and they're like, "Fuck yeah, we'll do it." I'm like, "Shit,
Nice.
okay."
Hey, that's all that matters. I mean, like I said, the worst thing they could say is no.
Yeah, I mean, and the worst part about it is that who the ones that say no, the almost the bigger they are, the more they're willing to do the show. Even my little ass show, it's the people that like. I have one guy who's fucking spaced on us 3 times, like twice now. We're like, all right, we're done, moving on. You bounced on one show, and then we rescheduled you because you told me your computer crashed, whatever. I understand that because my computer's crashed. I get that. And so we're like, okay, you want to do it Sunday? Yes. What time? I was like, okay, I can get you on 4 or 5 o'clock in the afternoon because I have a show. I initially had somebody was supposed to be here at 2. We had to move those to 7. And I was like, I can get you on here. And then he never got back with me. He acknowledged everything, and I was like, all right, dude, moving on. Next person. I've got a line of people that want to be on our show already. You're going to be a footnote now in the history of our show.
Like I said, it's just, flaky people. And when it comes to flaky people, I mean, of course, life happens, health problems, family,
Well,
equipment breaks down.
you know,
But there's people like that there's just no time for anything like
you know,
that.
we've had some issues trying to get together. I understand. You've had some issues. We're stuck on the interstate. I understand. I was literally up in your area, neck of the woods, not too long ago, and it sucked. The traffic was
If
garbage.
only you knew how it was like to live here.
Well, what's really weird now is as of Friday, we're recording this on a Sunday night. As of last Friday, I now have a cabin in Brighton, Michigan. So, yeah, it's off of Island Lake. I don't know if you know where that's at, but
I do. I
yeah.
do know where that's at.
Yep. It was my wife's uncle's cabin. He moved next door to his dad's cabin when his dad passed away. So he's like, "You guys want this cabin?" As a family, we're like, "Yeah, we'll take it." So we got to go up there and do work to it. But now I have a cabin on a lake. So
That sounds like a pretty good location for a horror movie.
that's why I already have people who want to film there. And they're like, I have friends who are like, "You legit?" I was like, it's not right on the lake and there's houses on either side. But I've told him, I was like, we'll go up there sometime. You can film shots there. I was like, you can do whatever, as long as we're there in my,
You could basically cheat any location to make it look like it's out in the middle of the woods. I mean, there's times where I've shot bits and pieces of my house and made it look like it's like in the mountains. And
see,
yeah, no, it's not.
that's the only problem with this house is there's no way. My neighbors are like right there and right there. I mean,
You walk out there, like their house is like, hey, what's up?
yep. My garage, you can't see because you can see the alley and all the cars. You can see might have a really narrow street in front of us.
But hey, if you got the cabin up here, I mean, that's a good way for us to like finally get together and meet
Yeah,
and everything, or at least see each other again.
yep.
And I know you mentioned this before, to bring this to people's attention. Paul's asked me to be part of his production, and
Yeah, I'd love to have you on there.
we're gonna elaborate a little bit more on that. So I don't know which project it's gonna be, if it's the escaping his comic shop or whatever. I do like that Halloween idea though. I do like that idea. The Purge meets Halloween.
See, I would love to do that. If man, if I could find me a house that somebody's getting ready to tear down to be able to go. And the worst part about it is I'm tempted to reach out to some people. I used to work at a hotel that's not far from my house now. It's been shut down. It's all boarded up and stuff. And I was like, they're going to tear it down. And part of me was going, let me film there before you tear it down.
Tear it down so I can do what I want.
Yeah, I can fuck this building up and shit. And I want to so bad because I worked there for like 3 years. And and that's got some great stories behind it. I was telling somebody else the other day, like literally a dude was murdered while I was at work there one night.
Ooh.
Yeah. He was beat to death. They dragged him outside. He wasn't dead when they left him outside, but it was a drug deal gone bad. and they dragged him outside, left him out, and they went back in the party, and they thought he would just sober up, wake up, and leave, and he didn't. He died out in the yep,
Wow.
yep, and he
Uh,
died around this time of the year.
Wow.
So fucking come out. People were calling every day, multiple times, trying to rent that room on Halloween that he died in. He didn't even die in it. He died outside.
Like some 1408 shit right there.
Yeah. And then I found out because it really went downhill after I left. Because I know this is gonna sound, this is not meant to be fucking racist or stereotyping anybody, but we had Koreans that owned it when I worked there, and it was a cheap hotel that was a nice cheap hotel. Yes, it was cheap. Yes, you could tell it was cheap, but at least it was the upkeep was done.
Mm-hmm.
Indians bought it. It kind of went downhill, and they kept transferring it from person to person, and it just kept getting further and further downhill. Well, somebody fucking, I guess, OD'd in there one time. They found a dead body while cleaning. Then when they were cleaning everybody out, kicking everybody out of that building, they found another dead person who had been there for a while that no one checked on the room because he rented a room for time being, I guess, OD'd or something. They didn't find him until they were cleaning the building out.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So this has at least 4 deaths because it's been around since, I want to say, like the late 60s. And it's been multiple different hotels, multiple different owners. And I guess back in this maybe early 80s, I think a guy committed suicide there. Then we had the guy get murdered, and then we had at least there was 2 ODs in there. So this hotel has a history behind it.
I say that's not 1408. That's some shining shit.
Yep. And I worked there, and I never saw nothing because it was, but yeah, it's definitely got some creepiness to it, and there was shady shit that went
Like
down
you
there.
said, you're skeptical. You have to actually have like proof to
I gotta see it. Yeah.
See it.
Yep.
All it could be is just another owl.
Yeah. But it's I joke around because we had Ray the pimp. I don't know if he was a pimp, but he was definitely a drug dealer. Nicest guy you ever want to meet. Never had any problems with him. Never caused any problems. He would come in, tipped everybody, everything. Everybody just looked the other way. And the best story was one night I'm sitting there. Ray come in and he's like, "Hey man, you got my room?" He's like, "Yeah, I got your room." He always wanted one room, up floor, king size room in the corner. Love that room.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "Man," he goes, "I got something for you." But he always gave me like $20 a day for a tip. Dude, I'm making shit money as a fucking dude that worked at a hotel. So $20 was nice money. And he's like, "Man, I got something for you. Come up to my room later." And I was working overnight. I'm like, "All right, cool." So I end up waiting on some people, dealing with some friends that came in and shit. And I ate some food, and I was like, "Oh shit!" So I messed up, like, "Fuck, what you got?" So, "Come up to my room. Come up to my room." And I go upstairs to the room, and I'm like, "Hey man," and him and his buddy are sitting at the table playing cards. There's 2 girls sitting on the bed, and they're watching TV. And I walked up, and he's like, "Hey man, you always do me good." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, you always do us good, And I was like, I know. Yeah. He's like, I'm not saying, He's like, he goes, I was like, "You don't cause any problems. You've never had any issues up here. I don't know what you do. That's your business, whatever." And he goes, "Man, you always do me good." He goes, "I'll tell you what, you can have one of them girls." I'm like, "What now?" And he's like, "Do you want both of them?" And I went, Do what now?" And I'm like, dude, thank you. I'm married, and I'm faithful to my wife. And I was like, "But can I hand them to a friend?" And my one buddy, he'd been wanting to have a threesome like fuck forever. He'd bring it up all the time. And so I'm like, I call him up. I'm like, "Hey, I got something for you. Do you want it?" And he's like, "Well, what is it?" I'm like, "I can get that threesome for you if you want it." He's like, "When?" I was like, "If you want it right now." I was like, and he lived in the apartment side of the hotel, like next to us, because we lived in the apartment side too.
Shit.
He runs over to the front desk and he's like, "What the fuck?" And I'm like, "Dude, do you want this or not?" And he's like, he pussed out. I'm like, "Oh my God, dude, you could have had you had your threesome." And he's like, He wouldn't do it. I was like, Ray's like, your buddy never came up. I was like, yeah, he pushed out. I was like, he's like, is he with somebody? I was like, nope. He just, it freaked him out too bad. He couldn't do it.
You when I was in my 20s.
Yeah. Dude, I was like, if I'd been single, but
Right.
no. But yeah, dude, I have more stories to that place, and it's crazy. I could do an entire episode of just weird stories at the hotel.
I would love to be a part of that because I have a lot of weird stories too. I think that should be our next time you have me on. It's like instead of like talking movies and story, just have like weird stories. Like, 'cause I have a ton of them.
So much. It was one of the funnest jobs I've ever had, and one of the worst jobs I've ever
Sounds like it. I mean, heck, he almost got 2 girls. Hopefully, they were clean too.
definitely would not have touched them without, yeah, like 8 layers of protection. I'm not gonna,
Layers of protection.
I am paranoid and I don't trust hardly anybody.
Oh, you're not the only one. You were not the only one. But that's those days are all past me because I'm married, I have the kids and everything. So and my wife is amazing.
Oh
So
man, my wife puts up with an epic level of bullshit that I bring to the table. She puts up with me every day. And I looked at her today and she's like, oh, I want to watch Pet Cemetery with you. And I'm like, I have interviews tonight. She's like, oh, I forgot. And I'm like, all right, we'll watch them later. And then she's like, well, what about tomorrow? I'm like, I got an interview tomorrow. And then she's like, Tuesday. I'm like, I'm going to a concert, remember?
but it sounds like she loves you though.
She loves me and has there is absolutely no reason that woman should love me the way she does.
Right.
I do not deserve somebody who loves me that much.
I say the same thing about my wife too, and she's like,
I
what can I say? I love you.
I tell her every day now. I was not, and I don't hide this from anybody. I was an alcoholic for years, and I was not a good person when I was an alcoholic.
Mhm.
And she put up with a lot of bullshit during that time, and she kept me alive. I'm only here because she's here. Because if she wouldn't have came and got
She
me,
cleaned up your act and she got you to be an actual person. I get it.
yep, it was funny because she never told me no. She never told me that I couldn't drink. She never told me I couldn't. She would go, you need to watch it, you need to cut down, whatever. She goes, just whatever. And I remember the last day I looked at her where we were celebrating after I did my comic book show, and we were out celebrating because it was a success. And I'm drinking my drink. I'm drinking my drink. I drink about half of it, and I look at it and I set it down. I slide it across the table, and I went, "I'm done." She goes, "You ready to go home?" I was like, "No, I think I'm done drinking," and I haven't picked up a drink since. I got tired of it. I don't like living that way. I don't like forgetting shit, and
You
I'm
know,
happy.
I can no, and that's a great thing. And I can say the same thing about me smoking cigarettes. I smoked for almost my entire college years and most of my young adult life. And then um I finally just looked at him and nothing no one told me I had to quit. No one told me I had to do anything, but I just lit one up. I got about halfway through it and I looked at it and I just felt so sick to my stomach. It's like, you know what? This is disgusting. Why am I even doing this? And so I threw it out. I threw the rest of the pack away, and I haven't touched one since then. It's been since 2012 since I had one.
Good job. That is
Yeah,
really hard to do.
and
I'll
it's not easy to kick. It's not.
no, I'll tell you what I did recently is that I got really kind of healthy over the last few years, and it was all because my father-in-law passed away, and I watched what that did to my wife and my kids, and then my son, my youngest son, who's now 13, was little then, and I couldn't keep up with him. I went from having a 40 hour, like a job I was working, busting my ass for. And then I started working at the shop and I started slowing down. I wasn't doing much. So I started gaining a lot of weight and my health wasn't the best. And I was like, you know what? I need to get healthy. I was like, this is bullshit. I was like, I was like 40. I couldn't keep up with my kid. I was tired. I'm miserable. And then my wife's like, you want to go to the gym with me? Went to the gym, fell in love with it. I go to the gym 3 days a week. I eat right now. I went from a few years ago, I was almost 250 pounds. Now I'm down to like between 165 and 170.
Hey, you're the same weight as I am. Good job.
Yeah. And I don't have, I don't get worn out. I don't get tired all the time. I actually sleep now better. And I can keep up. I can actually outrun my kids, all of them. Even my now 32-year-old.
Oh,
And
wow.
yeah, he's my adopted son. So it's
Okay.
yeah.
I didn't realize. I knew that you had kids, though. I didn't realize you had like an older one.
All three of my four kids are adults.
Oh,
So
okay.
yeah. Yeah, I'll be 50 next year. So I've got,
You don't look like it.
wait a minute, let me take the hat off and show you my fucking bald spot. But and the gray hair is getting in there, but I don't care. I'm one of the people that I don't give a shit about the
I
gray
think
hair.
the salt and pepper look, it looks good on you. It looks good.
Yeah, and then that, and I have my beard, and I can't help it because I do this all the time. I cut it off once, and then I was like, I kept grabbing for my beard,
It's like, where's it at?
and I was like, nope, I'm good. I'll just keep it growing, and I kind of keep it about that length, so every once in a while it just gets a little snip at the end.
Mhm.
I'm done. And I hate to say this because I am getting a little vain about this. I don't really care that I'm going bald, but I was like, if I can stop it, I think I might. So I'm gonna try the hair shit that from Hims because my wife has dealt and she's seen it work. So I'm like, fuck it, maybe I will.
It's a 50-50. It's a 50-50 chance. I mean, that's the reason why I wear the bandana, though. But then again, I had my hair, burnt off at a concert, so that was talk about crazy stories. That's one I will definitely share when
We'll
we
have to
get back.
we'll put that on the calendar over here. It's like next time talk about the hair getting burned off.
Yep.
Yeah, I got it I made a tennis ball cannon when I was in high school. And I don't know if you've ever made a tennis ball cannon when you were a kid.
No.
Okay. It involves lighter fluid, cans, and a tennis ball. There was a fireball, and luckily I had sunglasses on at the time. Um, but yeah, that's the only reason I had eyebrows because it went boom, burnt my hair back. I had facial hair at the time, burnt that back, burnt all the hair off both arms, which has never quite grown back. And, and
It
then
grows
this one,
patches.
yeah, then this one got burnt off again because of my wife was cooking coconut shrimp on the stove and the oil caught on fire. And I ran in there, I kept my head. The flames are shooting from the stove up to the ceiling. So the ceiling's getting that burnt. I grabbed it off the stove. I open up the door. My dogs run past me because they were outside. I go and I throw the oil out into the backyard into the snow. Then I proceed to grab snow and throw it on my arm because my arm up to here where my sleeve hit, it took all the hair off. It took the hair off of here because I grabbed it and I ran, but I did. I kept my cool. And I was like, I would rather get burnt than my house get burnt down and my kids get hurt.
Right.
So I stepped up and people were like, I was like, I didn't think about it. I didn't think about me getting hurt at all. At all.
Your fight or flight kicked in and everything.
Yep.
And the human body's amazing whenever
Oh yeah.
anything like that happens.
Yeah. But man, I'm gonna have to get ready to cut it because we've been on here for almost 2 hours.
That's okay.
And
You got enough material to make an episode for the, what's been going on and just like the
yep.
little jibber jabber in between, though.
Yeah, we got a lot going. Okay, we'll do the whole end thing. What do you
Yep.
got going on right now, or where can people find you?
People can find me on YouTube, Dark Fortress Pictures LLC. You can also find me on TikTok with the same name. I do have the Facebook version of Twitter, which is now Threads. That's our newest form of social media. Starting to build up our crowd with that. And then I have Instagram. Then I do have Facebook, my own personal Facebook page though, but right now I'm in Facebook jail because of a 5-year old meme that came back to bit me in the ass. And you can, if you want to contribute to Within the Shadows, the latest feature film that I'm doing, you can head on over to Indiegogo and type in Within the Shadows and look that up and make a contribute. I'll send you the link, and you can just tag it with this video whenever
Yep.
you post it. And yeah, that's where you can always find me at and everything.
Cool. I'm going to probably edit. So if you got that, edit send to me quick because as soon as we get off, I'm going to do a couple things and I'm going to edit this because it's going to drop tomorrow afternoon.
All right, sounds great, Paul. Thank you
So
so much for having me on.
yep. Yeah. Hey, you're always welcome. Just give me a heads up when you want to come up or want to be there. I'm probably going to be up in Michigan before too long. I know I'm coming up for Thanksgiving. So
Let me know when well, I know Halloween's coming up and everything, and it's gonna get a little bit crazy around here because of Thanksgiving though. But let me know when you come up for Michigan. Maybe we can like work something out.
yeah, at least maybe go grab something to eat or something.
Yeah, it sounds great to me.
Yep. Cool. All right, man. Well, you have yourself a good night and have a good holiday if I don't talk to you before then. And
I don't hear
yeah,
from you. Happy Halloween.
you too, man. Take care, dude.
Take care.
Later.